current political situation in the country and how that plays in, Mark?
You know, the key question that as a country we need to ask ourselves is the question of whether is it who we vote in or what do we want. That's a very key deviation point, because when you vote in a person, so for example, you're voting in Brian Mutie and Michelle Ngele gets a position, you'll forever complain because it is not your person. However, if you vote in and what you want is your ideas and your plans to be implemented, then the game can shift. How can the game shift? In the president's inauguration speech, he said that he wants to take the issues which the people who did not vote for him wanted to be put in his agenda, and he said he will incorporate them in his agenda. And this is the basis of a democratic dialogue. The democratic dialogue should not be about who is in office, but what the person in office does. And since he is willing to incorporate these ideas, it is imagined that therefore every person who was against his presidency is able now to come in and say, you know what, I think you're going in the right direction and let's work together, which is why it is very critical for a nation to begin to discuss where we are going versus who is taking us there.
Right.
Because at this point, whether you voted for him or not, he's the president of all Kenyans. And if he's the president of all Kenyans, we have to join in his bandwagon, because what he's delivering is good for all Kenyans. And that's the key issue.
Right.
And just to take a leave from health, because the question is how will he be able to do that? There are two things that we need to look at. Historically, when Jubilee came in, there was the issue of free maternity care, which is a reality today. When Kibaki came in, there was free primary education, which is a reality today. So it is possible to have free health care. How? First and foremost, we have the procurement agency, I think it's called KEMSA, which procures drugs and medical equipment on behalf of the nation. That gives them the ability to negotiate in bulk. Can you imagine negotiating for 48 million people with Pfizer and all the other big pharmaceutical companies? That's the first part. The second part is, let's remember, healthcare is not just curative, and that's a problem with Kenya. Kenya does not have a preventative medicine culture. In other words, what we should be focusing on, like Cuba, which is one of the healthiest nations in this world, by the way, despite their relative poverty, is they have invested a lot in preventative medicine. If we can prevent diseases, then we reduce the weight on our national healthcare insurance, and then we're able to afford it. So there are ways of doing this. And one of the best things, and I would like to quote JFK, we don't do things because they're easy. We do them because they're hard. And that's a mentality that Kenyans need to have.
Right. Let's talk about that, Brian. Considering that the president basically talks about putting the economy before politics and relating that again to the situation in our country, how realistic is